This portion of the John Fredericks Show is brought to you by Hargrave Military Academy. Attend an educational and informative open house event at Hargrave Military Academy in Chatham, Virginia. For more information, visit online at hargrave.edu. Hargrave Military Academy. Build his future.
Joining us now, fresh off a brand new story from Watchdog.org's Virginia Bureau, is Ken Ward, and he's been following this EB-5 visa debacle, which has got Terry McAuliffe now intertwined in it. And we understand from your story, Ken, that we've got now some issues where apparently Terry McAuliffe had a sit-down with the agency boss trying to move along this EB-5 visa thing. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to get my arms around this thing. What's the big deal?
John, thanks for having me on. And could you put a little more AC/DC in the background? I think that's a nice touch.
Thank you.
When you do that with the news. The big issue, as it's now percolating up, is that this is not just some little local rinky-dink deal involving a two-bit politician. This is now a national security issue, which has been flagged by the Inspector General's office in D.C., where Chinese national with connections to a technology company in China called Huawei was trying to buy his way into the country as an investor in Terry McAuliffe's electric car company. And this guy had tried previously to buy into a wind farm out in Oregon, and had been rejected on national security grounds. So now he's trying the backdoor through green tech, and that application was flagged and delayed. And Terry McAuliffe and his cohorts have been complaining over the last 3 years about these kinds of applications being delayed by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service. And we are now led to believe that it's apparently on national security grounds. So this brings a whole new dimension to this story. As your listeners know, there's been a lot of concern and questions around the viability of this green tech company, the fact that it chose not to locate in Virginia, that it went down to Mississippi, that Mr. McAuliffe claimed that thousands of jobs would be created when in fact there's fewer than 100, and the people who have worked at these plants say that there's actually nothing being built there.
Right.
So the applications that have been approved through this visa program, which is now coming under heavier scrutiny, have raised, we believe, $46 million for green tech, which is a nice chunk of change to get started, but yet nothing's happening, and no one knows where the money is. So there's a lot of big questions that Mr. McAuliffe has to answer for.
Well, here's my question. There's no doubt that when Terry McAuliffe started his campaign, he was trying to present himself as a job creator and an entrepreneur. Green Tech, Franklin Pellets, these are companies that he started where big promises were made, but at the end of the day, no real jobs are being created. So that's an issue that he's got to deal with because, he started companies, said, look, this is what we're going to be able to do. They didn't do that. But on the other hand, he did start them. Okay, he did get the funding. He did start them. He did try. And so, okay, he's got to deal with that. Here's what I'm really trying to get at with this EB-5 visa thing. The only thing that I can find right now is that McAuliffe tried to juice the process by leveraging his political contacts, which, as we know, are very, very deep and broad, on the behalf of his stakeholders to get this a decision on this EB-5 visa guy so he could get the $500,000. And so he was not acting as a security official of the United States. He was just trying to get the $500,000. And so he attempted to sit down, meet with people, jawbone them, and juice them. But the program is a legal program. He was just trying to get the cash. I don't see where this translates into some big political issue. Tell me what I'm missing.
Well, first of all, not everybody gets access for a one-on-one meeting with Director Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of the USCIS that administers this program. Tom Garrett, state senator from Virginia, said he wishes he had Janet Napolitano's number so he could call and get this kind of meeting set up. Clearly, Terry has connections, long-time connections, as the former head of the Democratic National Committee, and he has been called the booking agent for the Lincoln bedroom.
Right.
He has close connections with the Clinton administration.
Right.
One of the board members for his funding arm is the former IRS Commissioner Margaret Richardson, and former Louisiana Governor Kathleen Blanco. So this program, as it's being run by Green Tech, is clearly politically driven. These people know nothing about building cars. They know everything about how to juice their way into the Beltway. So that is a concern, and that's one of the ways this EB-5 program can be subverted and perverted, is through the political process. It's one of these programs that's not well known, but it does get bipartisan support because, frankly, Congress on both sides of the aisle loves this kind of program because it does bring in money and it allows their campaign contributors to get money from foreign nationals. And this is almost entirely a Chinese national program. And as I mentioned earlier, we have some sticking points involving national security. So it's a political program. It's very unclear as to how many jobs are being created. They use a very Byzantine formula to calculate the jobs that are supposed to be attached to these $500,000 investments. This EB-5 program is basically a way for people to buy their way into the country that can't get in legally any other way. So it does have several issues attached to it, and the McAuliffe Green Tech venture seems to be kind of a poster boy for the way the system really works, as opposed to the way it's supposed to work. If he has, in fact, $46 million raised, there's no way that they have created the commensurate number of jobs. As someone has said, they've gotten residency for more Chinese nationals than they have actually built cars. So it's not really a company in any meaningful sense of the word. It's a money collection operation.
Yes, and I think that's the issue. The program in and of itself, I think, has to be scrutinized. There's no question. Ken, as you know from doing your exhaustive investigation on this, when you have one of these government programs like the EB-5 visa thing, I mean, you just read the way it's written, and it's going to be abused. There's no question. And obviously, if foreign nationals could get a visa without making the $500,000 investment, they would. So obviously, anybody that's going to be coming in under this program, you're going to have to raise an eyebrow and look deep because they can't get in on their own, right? I mean, that's the object of it.
This is where USCIS, the Citizenship and Immigration Service, is at a huge disadvantage. Mr. Mayorkas himself admits that the staffing of adjudicators and their skill levels has been woefully lacking in terms of actually investigating these applications, because it is very arcane process financially, very complex, involving securities laws and all manner of accounting. So this is an agency that has been less than forthcoming about who's being approved, these 200-plus regional centers, of which Gulf Coast has one, how they're operating. It's all shielded behind closed doors. I have a FOI request pending now for 3 months, trying to get information relating to the Green Tech operation and correspondence between the executives of the company and the administrators in Washington. And I have received some information through confidential sources, but I have received virtually nothing from the federal agency that is supposed to be doing the public's work. So the fact that this is a totally non-transparent process does raise a bunch of red flags about how it's being handled.
No, look, there's no question, and I'm glad that you're on it to try to bring the truth out. But as I said, You know, you get one of these programs, big money is involved. Now there's companies like Gulf Coast, whatever it is, that are set up specifically to shepherd these through, and they're making money on the deal. This program, this EB-5 visa thing, this is a disaster. This thing's a disaster. Okay, it's there's all kinds of abuse. It's set up, basically it's being utilized by Chinese nationals to make their way into the U.S. They can't get in any other way. They got the cash, but there's no question that the oversight stinks and thing is a mess. So what does McAuliffe do? So McAuliffe is trying to get the $500,000. He doesn't care who this guy is. He's just trying to get the 500 large. So he has a meeting with Mayorkas because he leverages his contacts, and Mayorkas said he took no action after McAuliffe. So he had a meeting. Here's my question. So what?
Well, it's good you asked that question. Today, there is a new video out by an outfit called Citizens United, which your readers or listeners may know about, and it's called Fast Terry. And what it does is it, in the 30-minute documentary, details how this green tech operation works or doesn't work, and has several, I think, very telling clips of Terry McAuliffe out there on the stump selling this program. And one of the quotes that really stuck in my mind as I watched the video was McAuliffe saying, "I like my money up front." And this is a very significant phrase because it really goes to his M.O. as a businessman.
Look, there's no, where time, go to watchdog.org, Ken Ward, to read this. There's no question Terry McAuliffe's a hustler. I just don't think this has got anything to do with his EB-5 visa thing. He's just a hustler. He is who he is. Hey, this is the John Fredericks Show.